I hate PewDiEPiE! Of Two Minds. Hello everybody, welcome to Of Two Minds. Two quick things. The first, I'm from the United States of America, so if you're from a different country or a different culture, the things that I say here, they may not apply the same for you. The second, I am not a licensed professional. Here on Of Two Minds, I talk about mental health and social situations, and today we're talking about how to deal with hateful comments. We're talking about this because PewDiEPiE just did a video recently on how he handles hateful comments, and I thought it had some really good insights that I wanted to highlight and expand upon here. The first thing that PewDiEPiE mentioned that I really am glad that he highlighted was this reaction that we all have when we read something hateful about ourselves. We react in a way that's strong. We go in and we say, there's nothing wrong with me, there's something wrong with you, and if you don't like it, what are you doing here? You can leave. He mentioned how the basic attitude is, I'm above criticism. But what we're talking about here when you have that reaction after reading something is projection. It's a defense mechanism. It's also normal. It's something that we all do. Like, you know that the words aren't actually hurting you, nothing's actually happening, but you still react. You feel threatened. Some people will say that this is your ego that's being threatened. This is the way that PewDiEPiE called it. We can all feel threatened by words that are hateful because it's human nature to want to belong with other people and to feel bonded with other people. We know that being isolated is threatening to our well-being. Nobody survives on this earth completely alone. And we have a neurological system in our body that's meant to keep us attached to people and bonding to people. So it's normal for that neurological system to come online when we perceive that somebody is hateful towards us, where they're trying to push us out. And when we react with defensiveness and we have this attitude that I'm above criticism, who are you to criticize me? That is a form of grandiosity, something that we see with narcissism. Moving on from that, something else that PewDiEPiE said was that being honest with yourself helps you deal with that defensiveness. It helps you not to be so defensive. A better way of phrasing this that he also said was that you should open up to the feeling of being uncomfortable. This feeling of being uncomfortable, that's what I was just talking about. It's this anxiety that comes on inside of us. That anxiety is what propels us to say to somebody else, who are you? Screw you. I'm going to block you. I don't want to hear anything from you. And that can be a temporary solution, but you're going to continue to get hate comments. So if that's your only way of dealing with them, it's not very adaptive. So I appreciate what PewDiEPiE is saying here, which is that you should try to lean into that feeling of being uncomfortable so that the feeling isn't dictating your actions. The feeling is really what's making us uncomfortable. It's not really the words on the screen that are doing anything. It's the feeling that comes up in reaction to the words, and that's what we're trying to deal with when we get angry at people. Now, it's perfectly acceptable to block people, to delete comments, to say like, no, this is not what I'm dealing with today. Sometimes that's appropriate. But other times we're reacting a little too strongly to what we're seeing on the screen. We might be feeling a little bit more sensitive that day, or there might be an aspect of our identity that we're not willing to accept yet, and it hurts when somebody points it out. And this leads me into what else PewDiEPiE had to say. One of them was that hate comments are basically free, unbiased opinions about yourself, something that your friends probably wouldn't give to you. And in this way, this is beneficial information. This is stuff that you probably should know. Friends tend to be kind, they tend to flatter you, they tend to be supportive of you, and in doing so, sometimes they shield you from things that you need to know about yourself to have good mental health. PewDiEPiE said that when he gets criticism like this, sometimes he listens to it, and then it goes on to make him a better person. It makes him better at doing what he does, it makes him have better skills, or it makes him better at relating with people. He's also mentioned how hate comments have actually given him self-esteem, which you would think it would be the opposite. You would think that when you receive a hate comment, that would tear down on your self-esteem, and for most of us, yes, that's true, it does tear down on your self-esteem. But what I think he's really getting at here is that as he's learned to recognize and deal with the anxiety that comes up, and he's learned to be a little bit more careful about what comments he reads and what he takes from each comment, he's learned to be more confident in himself and not get knocked down so easily just from some words on the screen. In other words, he probably doesn't just jump immediately to that attitude of like, who do you think you are to talk to me that way? He backs down a little bit, he feels modest, he recognizes, okay, there's something inside me that feels insecure here. Why is that? Looks at what's been said and sees if there's anything valid, if there's something that he can learn about himself, a way that he can expand his identity. Now, PewDiEPiE also showed the flip side of this, which I really appreciate. He explained how you shouldn't just go along with everybody's criticism either, because then you're not really being honest with yourself. When you just continually change yourself or maybe lie to try to please what everybody else around you wants, you're never really acknowledging that feeling inside. You're still feeling insecure and you're not gaining any true self-esteem. What you're doing then is putting your self-esteem in the hands of other people. So it's important sometimes to say no, to have those boundaries, to say, I'm not listening to your comment right now, no thank you. And I think in a good sign of maturity here, PewDiePie admitted that he still has an ego. It's not like he's perfect at any of this, and nobody's really perfect at any of this. And if you think about it, that just makes sense because we're biologically wired to be sensitive when people try to harm us. We're social animals. It's just the way we are. So if you're somebody who has trouble with self-esteem, or maybe you're just new to the concept, you want to try to understand some things about yourself, I have some free worksheets over on my Patreon page. Go ahead and check those out. Patreon's a place where I support people doing work that they love, and my patrons help to support me here and my mission of humanizing mental health. Thank you to my patrons. If you like learning about mental health and social situations, head to youtube.com/RyanLiberty, go hit subscribe. And why not? Go ahead and leave a hate comment down below. Maybe I'll leave one back for you. Thank you for joining me, everybody, here on Of Two Minds. Just kidding, I love you, bro.